Hello there, everyone, and welcome back to the GSL-English podcast. My name is Gideon, and this is a podcast for all learners of English to practice and improve in a relaxed and natural way. Now, are you sad? Are you suffering from sad? Well, what am I talking about? I'm talking about seasonal affective disorder. And we're talking about this because this week has really highlighted to me the reality of SAD, seasonal affective disorder. Because this week in England, particularly Monday to Thursday, we have had some beautiful weather in the southeast, in Kent. It's been stunning. The sun's been out, it's not been too cloudy. It's been about 16, 17 degrees some days. It's been absolutely glorious. But along, of course, with the beautiful, lovely weather, the thing that I noticed the most was the difference in everybody's attitude. Walking down the street, everyone was saying good morning. Going to the shops, everybody just looked so much happier. And then it got me thinking about this seasonal affective disorder and really the reality of it. Now, we did talk about this in the podcast probably about 2 years ago now, but I thought we would cover it again because I didn't realise, but I think I've probably suffered with this. I think many of us, I would say the majority of us, if we live within certain climates, would probably say that we do suffer from sad to different degrees. So in this episode, we're going to go into that. What is sad? Why does it affect us so much? Why does the weather have such an impact on our mood? And perhaps, it might be the reason as to why we've been feeling a bit down the last few months or a bit low in energy. And we're also going to talk about the weather here in England. And what do you do when it rains here in England? Let's imagine that you've come here for a 2-week holiday. You've saved up all your money. You want to come to England and it's raining. It's not going to rain every day, but the majority of the time it's raining. What can you do to make the most of your trip? Well, I'm going to give you some suggestions on what I think you should do when it's rainy here in England. Now, just to put this in a little bit of perspective as to why I wanted to talk about it today. According to statistics, it has rained almost every day at the start of 2026. So at the beginning of 2026, that's this year, rain fell somewhere in the UK, the United Kingdom, every single day for more than 40 days. So somewhere in the United Kingdom, it was raining for the majority of, or throughout all of January and then into February. And I would say that was definitely the case here in the southeast of England. I think it pretty much did rain every single day in January. And actually, one of the statistics went on to say that it's one of the wettest starts to a year in recent history, with over 100 flood warnings issued. Several weather stations recorded their highest January rainfall ever. Cornwall, in the southwest of England, even had its wettest January on record. And of course, with wet weather often comes grey clouds, not grey clouds, grey skies, clouded over. And it can just be a little bit miserable, can't it? Now, don't get me wrong. I love a sofa day in the rain. When it's raining outside, you're tucked up indoors, you've got a blanket, warm coffee or a hot chocolate or a cup of tea, got some biscuits, you just watch films or you get jobs done in the house. There is something really cozy about that. And I'm not saying I don't like that. I'm an advocate for chilled, rainy days. But what happens when it's grey for a long period of time? When the sun is a rarity, you forget to feel what that big ball in the sky feels like on your skin. What happens when that is just consistent for weeks on end? Well, that's what we're going to talk about. So we're going to discuss an interesting article which is entitled Why Winter Can Change the Way We Feel: Understanding Seasonal Affective Disorder. And I just think this is really interesting. And you might think, yeah, do you know what? I felt that. Yeah, really interesting one. So we're going to go through that in a moment. And then, as I say, after we've gone through that, I'm going to give you some suggestions on what to do when it's rainy here in England. But before we get into it, as always, a little catch up. I hope you're doing well. I hope you've had a good week wherever you are in the world. I hope you're safe. I hope you had some time just to relax and unwind, if possible, this weekend. Hopefully, you can do that now with the podcast. I actually, what day is it? So it's Saturday I'm recording this because yesterday I had a good friend's wedding. So both of my friends got married, and actually every now and then they watch and listen to this podcast. So if you are watching, friends, I'm not going to say their names, but if you are watching, congratulations. Amazing wedding. Absolutely loved it. And they gave me the privilege of doing the music for the wedding. Now, any long term viewers and listeners of this podcast will know that I love music. And they said to me, "Hey, Gideon, how would you fancy doing the music for the whole of the wedding?" Thank you for the opportunity. I absolutely loved it. Found it a little bit stressful. You want to do it justice. You want to get everybody up dancing. But I think we had a great time. I think it went well. So all the best here. Yeah, very good. Good wedding. I very much enjoyed it. And apart from that, this week's been a pretty relaxed week, considering the beautiful weather that we've had. It's been sunny. It's been glorious. And as I said, the thing that I noticed the most was the change in people's attitude. Everybody was just a little bit more friendly. There were smiles on people's faces as they were driving past in the cars. You could just hear some happy music playing, some, just good summer tunes. The vibes were high. And that's an interesting term we use now. You might have heard it when we talk about vibes, just talking about atmosphere. If the vibes are good, you know, the atmosphere is good. You're having a good time. If the vibes are bad, it's just not working out. But here in England, where I live, beginning of this week, the vibes were good. The sun was out. You could smell barbecues. You could hear people in the garden. Everyone was mowing their lawns. And the vibe was just a little bit more positive. So, what was going on throughout October, November, December, January? Why can we sometimes feel just a little bit down when the weather's not great? Well, that's what we're going to get into. So, if you're following along on the screen, I do encourage you to read along with me as we go through this. We're going to take it paragraph by paragraph, just explain it and talk about it, go through the vocabulary, and really trying to make sure that we understand what's going on. There is an opportunity here, if you would like to repeat after me. So that means you can listen as I read and then pause and repeat after me, or shadow read, which is just try and speak at exactly the same time as me, if you do want to practice your pronunciation and your fluency. But if all else fails, just enjoy, just relax, just unwind with this really interesting topic. So here we go. Why winter can change the way we feel. Understanding seasonal affective disorder. Every year, as the days grow shorter and the skies turn greyer, many people notice a change in their mood. They feel more tired, less motivated, and sometimes strangely low for no obvious reason. For some, this is simply part of adjusting to the colder months. For others, it may be something more serious, known as seasonal affective disorder, often called SAD. So we start off here just talking about the time of year that this often kicks in. It's those days that just start to grow shorter. It's when the skies turn greyer. And I know when I was living in the Dominican Republic, kind of in that area, that hemisphere, you don't often get these seasonal changes. But here in England, I'm sure you've experienced it if you've been here, but the seasonal changes are quite drastic. Like once we hit kind of that real peak of winter, it's getting dark at 3 o'clock, 3:30 in the afternoon, which for a while was quite nice. But what does it say here? That when that starts to happen, when the grey days just keep growing shorter and the sky is getting more consistently grey and that rain is kicking in and you just start to forget what the sun looks like, what happens to many? They notice a change in their mood. Mood, we're talking about the way we feel, the way our mind and our heart feels. Perhaps you might feel more tired, less motivated. Oh, it's grey out. I don't want to do anything. And sometimes you might feel strangely low for no obvious reason. So when it says here strangely low, it's out of the norm. We don't often feel that low, and we feel that way just for no reason. And I think I've had this recently. I don't mind rainy days at all, but it's been so consistent here in England that when I've got up to go to work or for a walk in the morning, you feel like you just don't have as much motivation. It's grey out, it's drizzling, just feel a bit low. There's no obvious reason, nothing's particularly happened, but you just feel that internal, let's say, that just a little bit of negativity from the start of the day. But in comparison, when the sun's out, you kind of jump out of bed and you're raring to take on the day. So for some, this is just part of adjusting to the colder months. It's just part of that routine. But for others, we might be suffering from seasonal affective disorder. We might have SAD. So what is that? Well, seasonal affective disorder is a type of depression that appears at the same time each year, usually during autumn and winter. When spring arrives and the days become longer, the symptoms often fade away. In places with long, dark winters, such as Northern Europe or Canada, SAD can affect a significant number of people. So here we're talking about a type of depression, or a type of way, the way that you feel, which is just low. So it might not be outright depression, but it might just be that we just don't feel our normal happy self, or we just feel kind of a lower baseline than we normally would. And this normally kicks in during autumn and winter. And then when spring arrives, the days get longer, then the symptoms often start to fade away. So often like Northern Europe, Canada, or places where they have these long, prolonged, dark winters. This SAD can affect a significant number of people. So when we talk about it being significant, it's noteworthy. It's not to be ignored. So why does it happen? Well, one of the most widely accepted explanations of SAD is the lack of sunlight during the winter months. Sunlight plays an important role in regulating our internal body clock, also known as the circadian rhythm. When daylight is limited, this natural rhythm can become disrupted. As a result, people may feel sleepy during the day, struggle to wake up in the morning, and experience low energy throughout the day. So, what does this come from? Well, it's a lack of sunlight, basically. Sunlight plays such an important role in our lives. And it talks here about regulating our internal body clock. So let's just break that down. If we regulate something, we control it. So here, sunlight plays an important role in regulating or controlling our internal body clock. And this is known as the circadian rhythm. So that internal body clock is our body just going through the motions daily. But it's got to stay regulated. It's got to stay controlled. That circadian rhythm has got to be, in control. And sunlight helps that to happen. So when daylight is limited, this natural rhythm, this natural body clock, this natural circadian rhythm becomes disrupted. Because, of course, we're dealing with darker days, shorter days. So we might find that we're feeling a bit more sleepy during the day. We're struggling to wake up at the same time we did a couple of months ago. And throughout the day, we're just experiencing low energy. We're not getting enough sunlight. Another important factor is the brain chemical serotonin, which helps regulate mood. Lower levels of sunlight may lead to lower levels of serotonin, which can contribute to feelings of sadness or depression. At the same time, The body may produce more melatonin, a hormone that controls sleep. Too much melatonin can leave people feeling sluggish and unmotivated. So we've talked about that circadian rhythm. Now we're talking another important factor or key point is that brain chemical serotonin, and that's what helps us to regulate. So again, we've got that word regulate, or to control our mood, to keep it in order. So lower levels of sunlight in turn lead to lower levels of serotonin. So our mood regulation system, if you will, is a little bit messed up. And this can just lead to us feeling a bit sad, low, or depressed. And in turn, at the same time, the body produces more melatonin. So we're getting less serotonin, more melatonin, and that's a hormone that controls our sleep. And this can leave us feeling sluggish. Now, if we feel sluggish, we just feel like we're moving slower than normal. We're not got as much energy. We're not as active. Everything is a chore. Everything is a struggle. I think we've all felt that at times. And that just leads to being unmotivated, just a complete lack of motivation. Goes on to say that people with SAD often experience a combination of emotional and physical symptoms. They may feel persistently low, lose interest in activities they usually enjoy, or find it difficult to concentrate. Some people crave carbohydrates, such as bread, pasta, or sweets, and many sleep much more than usual. Getting out of bed on a dark winter morning can feel like an enormous challenge. So if we're experiencing SAD, we've got a combination of emotional and physical symptoms. And I think what's really interesting, I've got in my personal notes here, is we might be experiencing this and really have no idea that we're experiencing it. But when you look back to those winter months, those dark days, you might think, yeah, I was sluggish. Yeah, I wasn't that motivated. I guess I did feel a little bit low. And that's where I was. I kind of look back on those few months now and I think, yeah, do you know what? It did affect my mood. It did affect my energy levels. As it said here, they may feel persistently low, meaning that it's happening a lot. Losing interest in activities that they usually enjoy. So in the summer months, maybe you want to go play football, you want to go for a drive, you want to bake a cake, but you just lost a bit of interest. Or maybe you find it difficult to concentrate. Now, this is definitely me. I look back. Actually, I'll be honest, this is me all year round. Craving carbohydrates, bread, pasta, or sweets. That's not a symptom of seasonal affective disorder to me. That's just me being me. Always crave carbs. I don't know about you. I'm a carb lover. Love bread, love pasta, love potatoes. Yeah, real lover of potatoes. Quite fond of them, to be honest. That's a weird thing to say, but the truth's out there. So I just crave carbs all year round. But maybe if you're only craving carbs in the winter months, maybe it's a symptom of SAD. You don't know. And many sleep much more than usual. Yeah, I'm usually a good sleeper, but I'm sleeping more than usual in winter. And then, that idea of getting out of bed on a dark winter morning can feel like an enormous, a gigantic, a huge challenge. So would you say it's something that you suffered with? Have you experienced it before? Perhaps do you know someone that's experienced this challenge? So what do we do if we feel like we're dealing with this a little bit? It's getting to us. We do feel a little bit low. What can we do? Well, despite how difficult these symptoms can be, there are effective ways to manage seasonal affective disorder. One common treatment is light therapy. This involves sitting near a specially designed lamp that produces bright light similar to natural daylight. For many people, just 20 to 30 minutes each morning can significantly improve their mood and energy levels. And I looked this up. You can buy these lights online. I'm not going to do it, but you can. If this is something you're really struggling with, maybe this is something to think about. Not professional or medical advice, by the way, at all. But there are ways we can manage it. We can stay on top of it. We can control it. Getting light, basically. So you can get these, take part in this light therapy, sit in front of a specifically designed lamp, and it just gives you that feeling of natural daylight. Might be something to consider. I know a lot of offices do this. particularly in London where they're just kind of dark all year round, the lighting is there to replicate natural daylight, just to lift the moods and keep the spirits high of those working. So this might be something to think about. Now, this next point's, I thought, quite an interesting one. Lifestyle changes can also make a difference. Spending time outdoors during daylight hours, even when the weather is cold, can help the body receive more natural light. Regular exercise, maintaining a consistent sleep schedule, and staying socially connected with friends and family can also help reduce the impact of winter depression or seasonal affective disorder. So I think often when we're feeling a bit low or we're feeling a bit down, it's so tempting to just withdraw into ourselves, isn't it? But actually it says here, if you are feeling that way, do the opposite to how you feel. Spend time outdoors, even if it's cold, even if it's raining. Put your raincoat on, put your wellies on, get outside. Just that natural light, you're going to get some of it, even if the sun's not in the sky. You might feel like you don't want to exercise. Do the opposite. Try. Do it. Maintain a consistent sleep schedule. If you feel like you want to go to bed at 8 o'clock, push it to 9, 10 o'clock when you normally go to bed. Stay connected with friends. Again, try not to withdraw so much that you just stay away from everyone. All of these little things, kind of almost doing the opposite of how we feel when we feel low, well, it reduces the impact. It's not saying it's going to completely go away. There's no sun in the sky. We're going to feel a little bit low, but there's things we can do to manage it. But of course, it is important to remember that everyone experiences winter differently. While some people enjoy cosy evenings and crisp winter walks, others find the season much more challenging. Understanding conditions like seasonal affective disorder reminds us that our environment can have a powerful influence on how we feel. And this is really true, isn't it? We all react to the winter differently. As I said at the beginning, I love a cosy evening. I love a crisp winter walk. But I have to be honest, when it is persistently grey and rainy and basically horrible outside, it makes everyone feel a little bit lower, doesn't it? So, yeah, the purpose of this episode wasn't just to highlight that you might be low, or you might feel depressed, or, you might feel a bit rubbish in these months, just as to reason why we might feel that. But what I thought was really encouraging is if we understand it, or for next year, if we preempt that we might feel this way, well, we can put procedures in place to manage through it. And I thought that's just an incredible thing about humans and the environment, that we can manage situations. If we're proactive, if we put in the work, we can manage just to get through them in the best possible way. It's still going to be dark. It's still going to be grey. We're going to have low days. But we can do what we can to make sure we get the most out of it still. And I think very often when we feel low, it's just that temptation to withdraw into ourselves, almost hibernate. But sometimes we've got to fight against that tendency a little bit. But yeah, interesting, isn't it? That's why everyone was just a little bit happier this week. And I hope summer comes soon. I'll be honest, I love summer. I can't wait for it. But what about if you're going to visit England, you come over to England, particularly this time of year or at the tail end of summer, autumn, and it's raining. Perhaps you come for a long weekend and it's raining every day. Does that mean that your trip is ruined? Does that mean you should not come when it rains? It's not true at all. Okay, I'm going to give you a very British tip. Don't cancel anything because, well, some things you have to cancel because of rain, but don't cancel most things because of rain. Put on a waterproof and carry on. There's a famous saying, there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. There's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Prepare for the worst, and if the best comes, if you get some sun, that's brilliant. You might get some rain here in England, but I think there's certain parts of England which are even better in the rain. So what do? You come to England, you want to go walk round a town, and it's chucking it down. Oh, it wasn't supposed to be like this. I've been waiting for this trip for months. Now it's raining. Oh no, what am I going to do? London's going to be soaking. You're wrong. England on rainy days can be an absolute vibe. Remember that term, vibe? It's an atmosphere. Here's some tips. Go from cafe to cafe. Walking into a busy cafe when it's raining outside and the windows are all steamed up and you can hear the coffee machines going, everyone's talking, they're laughing. The atmosphere is just lovely. Enjoy it. Slow down. If it's raining and you come to England or you're in London, just chill out. That's my advice. Just chill out and take in the atmosphere. Go into a cafe and get yourself your favourite drink. Get yourself a nice piece of Victoria sponge or a cake. Find a nice pub with a fire. Sit in the corner, have a pint, have a coffee, glass of wine. Just slow down and relax, because there's something about it. And particularly if you're prepared for it, if you've got a waterproof or an umbrella, if it's lightly raining, London's beautiful. You get kind of the reflection of the lights, the atmosphere in Piccadilly Circus, Oxford Street, Camden Town, Borough Market. Okay, they're great in the sun, but there's something about it. You see it in a different way when it's just a bit rainy outside. And I think you almost get that kind of quintessentially British experience, that idea. So just hop from cafe to cafe while seeing London. Look from pub to pub, go to restaurant. And in London particularly, some great museums. The National Gallery, it's free. Go to the British Museum, the Natural History Museum, the Science Museum. Go check them out on rainy days. If you can, it's within budget, go to the theatre. There are some incredible shows in London. I'm a musical guy. I absolutely love the theatre. I recommend Les Mis. It's my top choice. Absolutely love Les Mis. I've noticed that a lot of people that I mention it to either love it or they hate it. So there's a 50-50 chance, but I recommend Les Mis. Hamilton's really popular. You've got Mamma Mia. I think Phantom's finished now, unfortunately. There's loads. Try and get tickets to the theatre. And you can even, in London, if you go to Covent Garden or other places, you can get same-day tickets. So if you've got to change your plan, it's raining, you've got a bit of cash, just go to one of those stands and ask for tickets. They'll either sell you the cheapest they've got, or if you want to be a bit fancy, you can get some nicer tickets. Outside of London, in Kent, go visit the castles. Got Hever Castle, where Henry VIII used to live. Got Leeds Castle. And you can have a walk around the grounds, just take an umbrella. But going inside an old English castle in the rain, what an experience. There is so much to do in the rain here in England, even going for a walk. Walking to a pub, my wife and I sometimes do it, it's raining outside, but we'll walk to the pub. It makes the drink or whatever you have at the pub much more rewarding. So it's not always bad. So if you are going to visit England and it is going to rain, remember, there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Prepare for the worst. And then if it is a little bit better, then great. But yeah, just an interesting topic I thought we could talk about today. Let me know in the comments, do you think this is something that you suffer with? Do you feel a little bit low in those winter months? Do you feel like it gets to you a bit? Do you feel like you pick up? Are you a lover of winter and a hater of summer? I know there's some people out there that just absolutely love winter, and then once it starts getting hotter, they hate it. But I know it's funny, when I lived abroad, when I was living in Dominican Republic, of course, it's always hot there. I craved rainy England days. Absolutely craved it. That idea of just getting wrapped up in a blanket, in a hoodie and watching films. I craved it when I was abroad. But now I've had enough of it. And it just kind of highlights the grass is always greener, doesn't it? But I think it's important just to remember those tips, the ways that we can manage and prepare for these moments. So they're still going to be there. It's still going to be dark. It's still going to be grey. But we can manage our mood, our emotions, and the physical effects to still try and stay on top if we can. But there you go. Thank you so much for watching. If you can give this a subscribe, really helps me out. If you're watching or listening on Spotify, please do click that follow button and leave a comment, say hello, introduce yourself, share your opinions, and I will reply to as many of you as possible. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Have a good one, guys.